I was minding my own business on Sunday afternoon. I was gardening and doing some things in the yard, lots of little repairs and things. And it was a beautiful day. I had all the screen doors open and the air was flowing through my house. And then I heard an explosion.
Not again.
Yeah, an explosion. And I've realized that I've never heard an explosion before in real life.
Oh, okay.
Have you? I mean, what blows up for you?
I guess not, but there's been other explosions at the refinery, which I'm assuming was the explosion. But I guess you didn't hear any of those.
No, and the funny thing is, it wasn't the refinery. I live a kilometer and a half, like half mile from a refinery or something like that, maybe a mile. And there's been explosions there. There was one 8 weeks ago. And when there is an explosion there, it's bad, of course, but everyone in, half the city seems to hear it. I get reports from friends on Facebook and things that are, practically down where you live, hearing these explosions, but not me. And the thing is, they happen at night, and I've got, a lot of sound makers and fans going in my bedroom to keep me cool. And so I
have one of those explosion generating white noise machines.
Yes, just so it blends in. But I shat myself. I thought, okay, that's the refinery. The wind is coming from that general direction. So if there is toxic gases that would follow suit, I better check this out to see what's going on. So the first thing I did is I alerted my family. My daughter was sleeping. It was the middle of the day, and my wife was in the shower, and I got everyone together. And then I went out to the backyard to see if I could see smoke from the refinery, and I did not. I turned in the other direction, and I saw a large plume of black smoke coming from, I guess, west of me. And the first thought I had was there was an Esso gas station at the intersection of the highway and the freeway there. And I thought, I wonder, that must be it. But gas stations generally don't explode, do they?
No,
I mean,
generally
there's safety precautions in place. And around in North America, you never hear of it unless there's something really negligent going on. And then I wondered if maybe a home exploded because, sometimes around here, like there's a natural gas leak, and it doesn't happen very often, but I would argue it probably happens more than gas stations exploding.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out what it was because it was a loud explosion. Okay? And I couldn't figure out what it was, but I saw people I live on a boulevard that goes on for another 3/4 of a block before it comes to a dead end, and there's a highway there. And I saw people gathering over there to look. So I put the family in the car and drove over there. My daughter walked and met her over there. And we could see it was a vehicle fire. We could see a tanker truck right behind it. So I thought, okay, tanker truck. A tanker truck exploded. Well, it didn't. Long story shorter, it was a pickup truck that started on fire and the gas tank exploded very loudly. Or it was a propane tank on the truck or something like that, or there was a welder, but there was a big explosion. But I think it was the gas tank because there was so much black smoke from burning gasoline that you would see in like a tanker fire or something somewhere. And the police closed down the whole area. They didn't say why. They've never said why. They don't tell the media anything anymore. And that was what it was. So we went to a different location where we could get a closer look. And I saw this charred out, remains of a vehicle. Well, I couldn't tell what it was. And then I thought, oh my God, is there going to be a body in there? A charred body? My daughter and wife are going to be looking at it, and me, we're all going to be traumatized. And then, so I quickly I unblocked this website, from this garbage bin company in our city that is the news source for things, but they're kind of unethical or a little bit racist sometimes, and I don't like them. And I heard about them through my kids. So I unblocked them on Twitter, and I kept refreshing to see what they would have, because they always have stuff like this. And so somebody had posted the fire before it had started. It was a large black, I don't know if it was a F-150, but it was a Ford, maybe it was a 250 or something. It was a bigger pickup truck. And there was a pool of fire underneath of it. So it could have been a fuel fire that sort of spilled onto the ground, pooled, and then lit the gas tank on fire is my theory. Yeah. because they were parked off the road and there was a little bit of grass there. But it was completely toast, and the fire was out by the time that I got there. But of course, this leads us to our discussion of this massive fear of EV fires, which is in the news again this week, which is completely bogus. And I've talked about seeing many car fires in my life. You have too, right? I mean, you've seen some
I've
around.
seen at least one, maybe two.
I've probably seen 8, something like that. More than a half a dozen, less than a dozen. And, one was on the highway recently I saw, and one was on the way to pick up my kids from school on the freeway there. Don't know why, but cars start on fire. And I ran the stats on this, and there's nearly 6,000 a year in our province of 1.2 million people, 1.1 million people.
Wow.
6,000 car fires per year. So I worked it out what it would be in our city, because we're 250,000 population in the greater area here. And it's about almost 4 per day in our city.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And yet people say, don't buy an EV. It'll burn you up. Well, don't buy a freaking gas car, because odds are you'll go up in flames. Many times more greater.
Wow.
So these gas fires are decreasing at a steady rate. So it's not, a statistical anomaly. There is a steady rate of decline. So, and they tend to happen in older cars. So this car seemed, because they had the footage of the before, as it was just starting on fire, and a video, it looked like it was fairly new. It didn't look like it was terribly old. But gas leaks happen in the fuel system. They hit the engine and ignite, and you're toast. And get this, Brian. My daughter said, like an hour later, there was another car fire in our city. Another one that was on this social media feed. So that proves that there was 2 in that day, and possibly 4 in the whole day, the 2 that were documented. So yeah, there's a story that was in the Telegraph just now, and it says EV fires, this is in the UK, are up 77% in the last couple of years, and they called it doubling. And yet the UK is steadfast at the 2035 gas car ban, they said, even with all these EV fires. But that's because EVs on the road actually doubled in that time, so the rate of fires is actually going down, but they didn't, come out and say, this is the reason why. They mentioned it in the story, but they didn't put the 2 things together. They're up 77% because EVs are up, over 100%.
Yeah.
On the roads. And yeah, EVs fires can actually happen in new cars, and it doesn't happen very often. It happens sometimes in accidents, and sometimes because of a faulty battery, and sometimes that happens sooner than later. So if you have a car that's a few years old, chances are your risk is gone. But yeah, so they've said all kinds of nasty things in there, and of course, there's different studies that have looked at this, but it's anywhere from 5 to 7 times less likely to have a fire in an EV, all the way up to 29 times. The more recent studies have been higher, more rare that because the EVs are probably improving, I'm guessing. They're safer than they were in the first iteration, and there's more of them on the road now. But MotorTrend, the combustion vehicle magazine, said that combustion-powered vehicles are 29 times more likely to catch fire. 29 times more likely. And yet, I could go at my front door and find someone in 2 minutes that would say EVs are going to go on fire, and you shouldn't buy one. It wouldn't take me 2 minutes to find a person who thinks that. So it's wrong, and it's actually shocking how much gas fires are common, how common they are. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And that explosion was so loud that you could hear it. I'm surprised it was that loud.
It scared the shorts off me, for God's sake. Like, it was really loud. And it was probably a half kilometer, 500 meters away from me as the crow flies. So it wasn't that far away. But I've never heard, I've seen all these fires. I've never seen it blow up. And apparently cars don't blow up. I researched it. The car fires don't cause explosions usually. But I think this was a
Yes.
special case because he was parked over grass. It was windy. It was dry. He could have started a grass fire if he was out of town.
The Clean Energy Show.